Welcome once again to another wonderful winning Wednesday, and welcome to the beautiful month of November. I'm getting ready. I think I'm ready for some turkey. Let's talk about some of the favorites that we have in the month of November. There's definitely going to be some turkey and we actually every year get a turkey from a place called Guapo's here in Virginia. And what we like about that turkey is that they put all of these seasonings into that turkey, and it is absolutely amazing. Like, there's one time of the year where I talk about turkey, and I don't know. I don't know if in my youth they made turkey as good as the ones that they make at Guapo's, but I am definitely looking forward to that. My wife always gets me some cranberry, but I have one or two slices, and it doesn't seem as though anyone else in the household likes cranberry sauce like me.
No.
So it typically goes to waste, but one of the great things about having a Thanksgiving dinner is the fact that you're going to have several plates over that Thursday, that Friday, that Saturday, and that Sunday. So I think I'm all prepared. How about you, Eunice? You ready? You prepared?
Well, you sound like you're ready. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I think largely because it just, for me, it just means, okay, you need to order everything or make your menu and prepare stuff and all that. So I'm still not yet there. I haven't yet figured out, okay, what's going to be on the table? Where am I getting what? When am I doing? So just talking about it, I'm like, I still gotta go order this. I gotta go do this. I have to do that and prepare this. And yeah, so I'm not yet there. Maybe next week I will be. Now that you
Emphasis
brought it up and you even brought
on
up guapos. So yeah.
emphasis on order.
Hey.
Emphasis on order. Order
Yep.
and reheat.
Yep. That's how I do it. I do not cook. Um,
You do cook.
eh, you know.
Reheat,
I reheat.
reheat.
I'm very good with reheating. I'm an expert at that. I know I don't even follow instructions. I know how to do it perfectly.
No, I don't know how to cook as well, and
So,
outside of the perfect Nathan's hot dog, I cannot cook to save my life. I would die if I had to cook for
see?
myself. But yeah,
Yeah.
so we want to say welcome to another wonderful winning Wednesday where we're
Yep.
here to have a conversation with other small business owners so that they can not only survive but thrive past year 5, right? That's what we've been talking about. And the topic for today is a topic that I often have to have with many other business owners, and it's about setting up their business account, right? And I had a conversation with a bookkeeper last week, and she had gone along the same journey that many others have gone on. And I keep communicating over and over ad nauseum until it starts to hurt that the credit journey is a 7-step process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Step number one is create your entity with your state corporation commission, is what we call it here in Virginia. Step number two is apply for that EIN number. Step number three is in opening up that business checking account, right? And that's where many people stop. But we don't want to lose emphasis because stopping there is a detriment to your business, right? Moreover, you have to make sure that everything is recorded exactly the same as you progress through step one, 2, and 3. You cannot spell ST street as STREET on one form and then abbreviate it on another.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to spell it out street, spell it out when you apply for your state corporation commission, spell it out when you apply for your EIN number, and make sure that it is spelled out when you are creating your business bank account, just the same. So that's where she had stopped. That's where many of the other small business owners that speak to have also stopped, but that's to their own detriment. Guess what? For several years, we had stopped at the same place, and we stopped there because we didn't know that there was other steps on the journey towards building out your business credit.
Yeah.
So the conversation that I had last week was that after step number 3, step number 4 is you establish your Dun and Bradstreet number with Dun and Bradstreet. It's called your Duns number. That
Mm-hmm.
is a process that is free, but having been on the Duns website recently, I also learned that they have an expedited process where they get it to you in under 8 days. But I believe when we applied for our Duns number, it came to us within 2 weeks. So it's probably going to save you a week if you apply and use that accelerated capability there. So that's step number 4. When it comes to step number 5, that's where you are going to be establishing trade lines with vendors. And that's what I want to probably talk about today is the top 5 credit accounts that you can get today using just your EIN number.
Mm-hmm.
Eunice, you were the practitioner when we were doing this, and you purchased a lot of things that we probably didn't need, but that was okay. So, why don't you share for our audience some of the things that you purchased and one or two of the vendors that you used to purchase that those products from?
Well, I think for us, because we are also real estate investors and I sell residential real estate, for us, when we started with these accounts, a lot of times I was looking for gift baskets that we could give to our clients. So I went on, I was buying a lot of those and just materials that I could use as I have conversations with potential clients or with anybody making a referral. I was buying materials that I could use to give them something just as a token of appreciation, right? So, for example, there is, I just went blank, sorry. I got one or two. I got a knife set. Those knife sets were things that I gave out on anyone who bought a home. I would give them a beautiful knife set. I also would get things like things for the kitchen. Those are things that you would give away or I would give to home buyers. I also got a lot of gift wrapping material, whether it's like a little organza bags that you could put stuff in. I would get those things. I used Uline. Uline is great. I used Uline to buy like those little gift bags that I could put things in. And then of course we also at some point we needed a lot of um should I say stuff for the office. So I'd buy like paper for the office. I would get stationery. I would get like stands for the laptops and things of that sort. We were also looking at that time, we were looking at, making sure that our home offices were, had the necessary things that we needed. So I would use Uline for that. I would use, what's the other one? Was it Creative?
CEO Creative.
Yeah, CEO Creative. The other ones were, I believe it's gold something. And with that one, what I would get were gift baskets as well, but like mostly your lavenders, your vanillas, and I'll get like a bath basket. So whenever I do an open house or things of that sort, I'll take like a nice basket and put it, in the bathroom just to give it more of a nice feel, a good smell, and things of that sort. So, like you're saying, initially it would have been easier for me to just say, well, I don't really, really need these things now. I don't want to do this. I can't
Hmm.
find things that I need. However, I knew what the bigger idea was. I knew that for me to get to where we were looking to get, I had to start all the way from, um, was it level one? I had to
Tier
start
one.
all the way down there, and it meant maybe I should even call it a little bit of a sacrifice where I had to say, okay, I'm going to buy these things just so that we can activate these accounts, we can transact, and then start seeing these companies reporting on our credit report and showing that hey, we are a legit company and we do pay our bills. And that helped. And the nice thing also with that is it doesn't have to be purchases every month or every second week or so, right? You may just buy once or twice and that's it, because it will just allow you or unlock the next level for you. And you keep just going through like that.
No, that's an interesting one. And what I am trying to communicate to our audience is that building out your business credit is a process, right? And the
Mhm.
process can go as fast or it can go as slow as you want to go, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you have to work with your tier one vendors, because what it is that you're trying to do is you're trying to build up your EIN credit history, right?
Hmm.
So you
Hmm.
don't want this to be reporting against your personal credit profile, right? So these vendors, and the little secret in the industry that I had to learn the hard way was that many vendors aren't reporting your transactions to the credit reporting agencies. Let me
Yeah.
repeat that just in case if you did not hear me. Many vendors aren't reporting your transactions with the credit reporting agencies. That's a
Hmm.
bad thing, because you're trying to build up your business credit in using only your EIN number, right? So, certain one thing that I didn't know at that point in time is that yes, there are vendors, and we're going to name 5 vendors today that you can get started with. And the first vendor that I will name is Granger, right? And Granger offers you a number of access to supplies and things of that sort, right? If you need to get things like hardware, janitorial materials, if you're in the
Yeah.
cleaning business, you're definitely going to want to have an account set up with Granger, right? And
Hmm.
there are Granger warehouses all around the country, right? And basically, what they're going to do is give you a net 30 terms on an account, and that initial credit line is probably going to be for about $1,000, right? So if you are in the cleaning business, whether residential or commercial, you're definitely going to want to have an account with Granger and use Granger for your supplies, because we know that Granger reports to Dun and Bradstreet, and that's going to be one trade line that is reporting, right? If you
Hmm.
don't have that type of business, yes, it might not make sense for you to open up an account with Granger, right? Because you're just going to buy supplies and not be able to use them, etc. The second type of account that I believe our our audience needs to understand is that just about every business that I know basically is driving from point A to point B. And unless you have an electric vehicle, that means that you're going to be fueling up that vehicle, right? So if you're going to be filling up that vehicle, I would think that you would want to get a gas card or a gas fleet card, which is going to allow for you to purchase gasoline, and even with the fleet card, it allows for you to make repairs and things of that sort, right? So
Hmm.
a number of different vendors that are out there are, Pilot and Flying J. That's where you, especially if you have like a commercial vehicle, such as like a truck or something like that, that's going to be one of the accounts that you want to have set up. And you can set up that entire account with just your EIN number. They're not going to ask you for your social security number on that one.
I think that one is also great for companies like HVAC. They've got vans. It's also great for, I know a lot of cleaning companies that send out their employees out. So something like cleaning companies that have several cars, that also will be a great one for them.
Oh yeah. If you have to drive from point A to point B,
Hmm.
having a gas or fleet card is definitely going to be something that you want to use, because like for instance, if you get a pilot card, we know that they will give you a net 7, right? And hopefully you are familiar with the net 7, net 15, net 30, net 60, net 90, but that's the amount of time that you have to pay that vendor, right? So with Pilot, it's going to be a net 7, right? With Phillips and Conoco, it's a net 30, right? So this is basically giving you additional opportunities, because now you don't have to tap into your cash flow because you have established credit with your vendors, right? So Conoco Phillips is another vendor that you want to use, right? And let's just say you have to have a storefront presence, right? And your renter, the person who you're renting to, they're collecting your rent checks, but they're not recording that with the credit reporting agency. What do? Uh-oh, the eyes are moving. The eyes are moving. The eyes are moving. You can establish an account with a company such as eCredible, right? And with eCredible, they report to all three of the credit bureaus: Equifax, Dun Bradstreet, and Experian. And they also give you a net 30 to pay it off at the same time. It's not revolving, it needs to be paid off in full in 30 days, right? But eCredible is another account that you would want to open up. And if you're in business, I would think that you also have a need for office supplies. So you might then want to have a conversation with Maverick Office Supplies. And Maverick Office Supplies will give you a net 30, but in addition to giving you a net 30, they are also going to be reporting to Equifax and Experian at the same time, right? So now you want to know which vendors you should be having a conversation with, right? These are the types of vendors that you should have. And one of the things that we have on our platform is we are constantly having communication with these vendors to ensure that they are reporting, right? And this is the second piece of this, right? You want to make sure that they are reporting. But the second piece of this is now you don't have to take cash that you have in your bank account and pay immediately. You have a little bit of term to get paid and then to pay off that debt, especially if you have a net 30, a net 60, or a net 90, right? So it just makes sense to move over there and do that. Now, understanding that the nature of the beast when it comes to building out business credit is you need to be in a position where you are establishing trade lines, because to move from tier one to tier two, you need three trade lines reporting. To move from tier two to tier three, you need six trade lines reporting. And to move from tier three, sorry, to tier four, you need nine trade lines reporting, right? And one of the things that we didn't know at the beginning was which vendors were actually going to be reporting. And we take that off your hands because we tell you who's actually reported. And we do that every 30 days to make sure that it is still in sync. The final thing that I want to talk about is another vendor, but they're not necessarily a vendor, is NAV, right? And NAV actually allows for you to have two trade lines reporting, right? And those two trade lines that are reporting, one would be for your credit monitoring, and the second one is for your purchase card, right? So here you are trying to build out the number of trade lines and working with vendors who actually report. And what we shared with you today is five different credit accounts that you could have and be reporting, because you cannot get to tier two unless you have solved all of the requirements for tier one. We didn't have this in the beginning when we started out on our credit journey, but we do have the capability to share that with our audience today, because that is going to be critical to helping you to build out trade lines, right? So if you want, I wanted to share that NAV has the credit monitoring, and it allows for you to get up to two trade lines reporting. And NAV actually, let me just quickly check. NAV, I believe, is actually reporting across um, all three credit reporting agencies. So hey, you're trying to figure this thing all out. You want to know who you should actually be working with. You definitely want to go and work with somebody who's going to be reporting for you. And I'm quickly looking for it here, but I believe NAV reports across all of the agencies, but it's definitely somebody who you're going to want to work with.
And the one of the other important really things that you also mentioned is that as you do this, bear in mind that some companies will stop reporting. And when you work with somebody who is constantly updating their information, you know when a vendor is no longer reporting. I know when we first started, one of the other vendors that we had was Office Depot.
Mm,
And Office Depot, I think we're with them for over a year or a year and a half when they decided that when they decided that they're going to discontinue having that service. So at that point, even though I guess for us we were now fine because we're now at other tiers where we are now qualifying for lines of credit, but if we were starting the journey and we had just opened up that card, we would have had to pivot and look for another alternative, because now we understood and we knew that that service was no longer going to be available. So as you embark on the journey and as you open up these accounts, just bear in mind that just because they were reporting as of today doesn't mean that tomorrow or the day after they will be, right? That's why you constantly need to work with someone who has visibility and has connection to be able to get you the relevant information to tell you as and when companies are no longer going to be reporting or not.
Well, that's the nature of the beast and the reason why you are doing this as well. So
Yeah.
here is a QR code that if you want to establish an account with NAV, you get one is the credit monitoring, which is a trade line that is going to be reporting. And they also have the capability for you to have a spending card or a purchasing card with NAV that they will report those transactions there as well. So we talked about eCredible, we talked about um, Pilot and J and Flying J. We talked about CEO Creative. We talked about Granger. But one of the things and I think the biggest takeaway that you could have from today's session is that you want to be working with vendors who are going to be reporting,
Yeah.
because when you're working with vendors who are reporting, that's going to help to increase your credit profile,
Yeah.
right? So I think we've done a pretty good job on that. And as we close out, Eunice, I wanted to share again because I'm having this conversation more often is that we have an introductory service so that you can get to know more about VIP. But what we do is we actually charge you $99 and we spend 30 minutes with you, and we also pull your Experian credit report so that we can basically perform a checkup to see how you're doing with that credit reporting agency. I believe that that is an extremely great value, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would stress that anyone who's out there, if they aren't familiar with what's going on, they take us up on this offer so that we can spend 30 minutes with you so that you can have a firm idea of what's going on with your business credit report.
Yep.
All right. I think, is there anything else that we need to discuss on this particular point?
No, I think you've covered everything. And I'm gonna give you your time to go and think about your Thanksgiving menu. So no.
No, 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 no. I'll leave that to you because today for me, I do not have any more coaching calls, and I wish that YouTube TV and ESPN get it all figured out because I'm missing NBA today. I haven't heard any jokes from Big Perk in a couple of days. Shout out to Big Perk. Shout out to Malika Andrews, right? That's
Mm,
one of my non-negotiables per se, and I
yep.
haven't been able to watch NBA today for a couple of weeks. Um, I wanted to see if there's anything in the chat. We don't have anything in the chat at this moment. So, to our audience, VIP, we're all about helping businesses to survive and thrive past year 5. So, we wish you another wonderful winning Wednesday. At the end of the day, I have my red Choose Happy shirt on it, and we know that what we're doing is to bring happiness to us. Hopefully you guys do know what brings you happiness. Anything before we go, my dear?
Nope.
All right.
See you all next week.
See you all next week. We'll broadcast. What are we talking about next week? You nice.
Um, I do not have a topic in front of me.
We are going to be talking about next week. Next week, I think we need to be talking about using whole life insurance to pay for marketing, equipment, and expansion.
Okay.
That's going to be
That's what we're
your
gonna
topic.
talking about.
So it's time to dig in. Have another wonderful winning Wednesday, y'all.